Okay, so we're going to give the audience a sort of a snapshot of your district in the suburbs of Chicago, a reasonably affluent, reasonably highly educated district. Give us a sense out there in Chicago. What are the issues in that district that will determine who the next congressperson is?
Well, so the number one thing that comes through again and again and again is health care. It is an affluent district, but it's not a top 1% district. And there's the fact that the Peter Roskam voted, I'm losing track, 62 times to repeal the ACA, and particularly on pre-existing conditions. There's over 300,000 people in the district who have a pre-existing condition. That's almost half the district. They are really angry not only that he voted to take that away, but that he did it without even reading the bills. The amount of anger that comes up when people say those votes to get rid of the ACA were taken before the Congressional Budget Office came out and said this is going to cost 20 million Americans their health insurance. It's going to cost 30,000 people in the district their health insurance. And people are saying, number one, I want to protect and expand the ACA. Number two, in a district that is highly educated, that sits between Argonne and Fermilab, they're not real partial to people who make decisions without first doing the homework.
So Mr. Casten, does that mean you run on the ACA? Because the ACA was not all that popular before the Republicans went after it. And there's a lot of concern about the rising premiums.
Well, number one, I'm running on the facts. The facts are, and I'm a former CEO. I spent 16 years building companies. We provided health care to all of our employees, got up to a couple hundred employees. That was before the ACA and after the ACA. And make no mistake, our healthcare markets have a lot of problems. I sat there looking at health premiums go up 6-7% every year. They slowed down once the ACA was passed. What we are now seeing, because of the elimination of the risk corridors, because of the elimination of the individual mandate, all of this chipping at the corners of the ACA, is that if you are participating in an ACA market today in the district, number one, count yourself fortunate, because that means that you are not on an employer-provided plan and you have opportunities you didn't previously have. But if you are in those markets, you've seen your premiums go up by $3,600 a year solely because of the chiseling at the ACA that's happened since Trump has come into power. And when my opponent votes with Donald Trump 94% of the time, it's not a good look for him.
Okay, so healthcare at the top of the list, as you said. Talk to us about taxes, because the Republicans have thought that would help them. There's some question about that now. But you are a high-tax state, and you do have the SALT limitation that we have in New York and Connecticut and New Jersey. Is that an issue on voters' minds out there in Chicago?
It absolutely is, but not so much at the individual level. This is the 12th highest SALT rate of all congressional districts in the country. It was not lost on voters that in the Ways and Means Committee, Peter Roskam actually, I think his words, well, I will fight vociferously to completely eliminate the SALT deduction. Ultimately it was at 10,000, but the top 5 counties in the state for SALT taxes are the 5 counties in this district. And we've got towns like Hinsdale where the average SALT rate is $45,000. Those people are really angry. But the thing that I'm hearing is more in a district that was historically, how do you want to define it? The suburban, quote unquote, country club Republican. They inherently used to trust the Republican Party on fiscal matters. And what they're saying to me is that they do not understand how it is that we voted to pass $2 trillion of deficits and did that again before even waiting for the score. Follow the math. The whole House voted to pass that tax bill the day before the Joint Committee on Taxation released the score. And the folks here are smart enough to realize that that was a gift to donors. It was not looking out for the interests of the district. And, as a former CEO myself, if somebody came to me and said, I got a way to double your revenue, the first question out of my mouth would be, what's the cost? What we have in this tax bill is an increase in your exposure on SALT, a lot of exposure on withholding because people's withholdings are down, but because of SALT, they're going to get hit in April. An increase in the tax on college endowments. So now they're saying, are my kids going to be able to get the student loan packages they had before? And And Roskam and the Republican Party has said that they're going to fund these deficits by cutting in on Social Security and Medicare, or what Peter Roskam has described as entitled individuals. That's got people really angry because they're sitting there saying, if I got $1,000 in my pocket, that pales in comparison to losing all these other benefits.